Nick Saban is out here saying he wants to become the voice of reason and voice of change in college football.
Which is an interesting spot to be, because my precursor to this is no one benefited to the shenanigans behind the scenes in college football more over the last 15 years than Nick Saban.
What you mean?
I don't know. Maybe particular bagmen leading guys to the University of Alabama and Tuscaloosa, of all places on this fine country, year after year after year. And yet, while he benefited from that, he didn't seem to mind that players weren't being taken care of.
Yeah, Saban is always he was never really railing against he was more of against the transfer portal than NIL.
Yes.
He was like
For
he
obvious
was
reasons.
always like, hey, yeah, it's okay, give them a little something for their pockets. But the bagman culture, everybody in the South had it. A
Yeah.
lot of teams across college football had it,
But the
and
SEC in particular.
it
Sure.
was the dirty little secret. Nick Saban, though, also was the greatest coach in college football because
Absolutely.
I mean everybody else had those advantages in the South. Hell, look at Miami, Florida, Georgia, like those. Texas A&M, for God's sakes,
Not
has been
every
trying
hedge
to do
fund
it.
is managed the same way.
And yeah, you've got to have a stable leader who develops those guys, turns them into first round prospects and first round draft picks, and also wins a lot of college football games too. And Saban did that at the highest. He did it all the best of anybody in the game. All of it, from the above board and below board stuff. And now that all of this is on the up and up, he is looking at college football in a way that a lot of people are right now. And there's a lot of guys leaving the college game and going straight to the NFL. I mean, we just saw the USC lost their running backs coach to the Raiders. So you lose one, pick one up, or no. Did he go? No, Chargers.
Chargers.
He went to the Chargers as the running backs coach. We saw two defensive coordinators bolt and leave for the NFL this year. Saw a head coach from Boston College say, "I'm out. I don't want anything to do with this anymore." And he goes on to the NFL because guys don't want to put. Georgia State's head coach left just last week to be the tight ends coach at South Carolina because he didn't want to deal with the transfer portal. He didn't want to deal with NIL. He was just done with it. And I love what Kenny Dillingham has been saying about this, which is like, dude, I grinded for so long. If it's too much for you, then get out of the game, and that's okay, because we're gonna have this new wave of coaches. It's not for everybody.
That's what we're talking about. Is the new breed. The old heads are going to go out, and the new era of coach is going to come in,
and that's a good thing.
Yes,
but
new blood is good.
What Nick Saban is saying is that he said, and I love this. You hear somebody use the word student athlete. That doesn't exist. It doesn't.
It never did.
And what he wants to do in this second phase of his life, as he is also, has an office at Alabama and is a fundraising arm. And if Kalen DeBoer ever wants to use him, will be an asset for Kalen DeBoer. But what he's saying is he wants to have an impact on college football. And I think that this may be the start of something that could be brilliant across the world of college football and actually do good and have actual change for college football. He said, listen, I'm for the players. It's not that I'm not for players. I want to see players have a great quality of life, be able to create value for themselves. But we've gone to nobody talking about education, talking about creating value for their future, talking about how much money I can make while I'm in college. He's saying we need to start treating these guys more like employees. And if you followed any of the court rulings lately, Dartmouth now has their student athletes are employees and they can unionize. The National Labor Relations Board, and I believe that is under appeal, but they can unionize.
It's going to happen. That's going to happen. That's going to have implications throughout college football.
But what he is saying is like, we're going down this path. Why don't we just rip the Band-Aid off and start having people like him formulate how this does work for college football
with the background of knowing what the implications, at least the idea of how they could impact universities, coaches, recruiting, players, just having that experience.
And then you say, like, if transfer portal is an issue, if all of this gets in-house NIL, it could also fix the transfer portal issue too. Because if then you are treating student athletes as employees, if their NIL is paid through the school, then you can enter a contract just like a coach,
Mhm.
and you can have written language in there when you sign that this is a 3-year commitment. This is a, if you're football, for example, because you
Yeah.
have to stay for 3 years minimum.
Yeah.
Like you are committing for 3 years, and if you want out, just like a coach, it's buyout season. And if another school wants to come and wants to pillage my roster, you buy him out. Buy him out of my school and off my roster, and you can have him just like they do with coaches. And I think that will ease a lot of the transfer portal stuff because you know what?
With the exception of coaches leaving.
What do you mean? Oh, and then that
And
it,
then it kind of your commitment is null and void kind of a deal.
sure. But yeah, if that's how you're drawing these things up, then it's a two-way street, and that stops teams from pillaging their rosters because look, Ohio State may want, Alabama's corner or safety. I think they got a corner and a safety from them this
Mhm.
year out of the portal. But if the idea is, yeah, you're going to go ahead and grab those guys, but you're also paying Alabama that money
Yeah,
to
you have
make
a
sure you
payout.
get them,
You have to pay out to get him,
and then you're going to pay him
and
even more.
yes,
Yeah, I think
the double dip.
that changes a lot in the world of college
Yeah.
football.
No, I like that idea.
And
You sign 1, 2, or 3-year deals.
sure, isn't that the way that we're going? And if you're a
But
five-star recruit that is that highly touted, you can negotiate a 1-year
yeah,
deal just like these coaches negotiate for more money and more years. And that's like one of the ideas that Saban is bringing to the board. But
God, the general manager position is actually going to be a general manager.
I think that this is the start of a conversation that is long overdue and needs to happen.
Mhm.
And I think Nick Saban being at the forefront of it is a phenomenal idea.
College football czar.
And I think you should have a college football council,
Mhm.
like a collection of not just appointed academics, but people that understand the inner workings of college football. Like just off, like you can go off the top of my head. I have 5 guys that if I am the college football playoff committee,
Mhm.
because really that's who runs college
Yeah.
football. I'm reaching out to Nick Saban.
Mhm.
I'm reaching out to Chip Kelly.
Mhm.
I will go Oliver Luck, who's
Yep.
been a commissioner, a player, a father of a
Yep.
player, who is a highly regarded and highly touted guy.
And has been a what is it?
Commissioner,
Search firm guy
that guy knows
for
the
everything
admin side, the athlete side, and the parent side of it.
and the player side.
I'm reaching out to Kirk Herbstreit and Joel Klatt,
Yep.
both of those
On the media
guys
side.
on the media side of
Yeah.
things, and just their 30,000-foot view of being in college football, but not a part of any singular institution. Even though Klatt is a Colorado
In Ohio
homer
State.
and Herbie is an Ohio State homer, but they can put that aside for
For
the
the most
betterment
part.
of college football.
Yeah.
And then the fifth guy I'm probably reaching out to is Pete Carroll,
Yeah.
a guy who was sent through the ringer at USC, has the professional side of things
Mhm.
and being in the NFL and being successful in the
Yep.
NFL, and then the college side of things as well, which he was part of the most broken part of when college football is the most broken during
Yes.
the early 2000s. And I say, all right, you 6 or 7 guys, we're going to put you in charge of the future of college football. And I think it would be for the betterment of college football as a whole.
I think you add additionally to that probably a Heisman winner. Hell, Reggie.
Reggie Bush?
Yeah. Add a guy with the implications of name, image, and likeness, what it all means, the presence of being that guy, and how that shapes your mindset as a player, what to expect, what you would want, how you wish it would have been handled, and then kind of an idea of how that builds out. I think you want a recent player of very high success, whether that's Tebow, whether that's Reggie, whether that's hell, an active guy like Caleb. Like I mean, name them. Pick your Oklahoma quarterback and have that guy on there
Well,
as
I'm
well.
not sure I want Kyler Murray or Caleb Williams involved in this.
But you understand, like anybody really in the last 25 years, I think is poignant depending on or not even depending because of their background, because of their unique situations and how that the how it runs down from there. And then I think you would be best served by bringing in a guy like a Brock Purdy and having him be a part of this. A guy who's the last pick in the draft and played at Iowa State, or find somebody from the FCS who's successful in the NFL and the things that matter.
I don't think you just FCS is dead.
That's
Gone.
fair.
You don't need them.
Yeah.
You don't need those guys.
Find a guy from a small FBS school and the implications of the guy that went from Holy Cross and then transferred to a Power 5 school. I think having the coverage from the very top, the biggest names, but also having somebody from the lowest ranks and the highest ranks of the player side, I think that matters too.
Yeah.
To put those in to kind of cover all your bases.
Yeah.
Here's
I
the
think
wild
too
card.
many people is where this thing gets. That's why it's got to be like 5 to
Well, this is why
7
I was
people.
going to go to 8.
max.
I was going to go the two players, and this is where it gets dicey and where I think it needs to be somebody who's retired. I think you get somebody from the agent side. I think you get a retired.
I think
agent.
that's why I went Oliver Luck, because like
He's
you try to
kind of
find a
in
lawyer,
there.
you
Yeah.
got to have somebody
Yeah,
that can do
that
the
legal
legalese
side, yeah.
side of things,
That's why I think you find a retired power agent.
and then you just say, all right, what is the fix?
Yeah.
I think like if you have this group of people though, you can bring all of those like the players in and a lawyer in, and you can bring them in to have those conversations and further those conversations. I think that the committees drag everything down, right?
Yes.
Committees drag everything down. The fewer people that you can do this with, the better that you are. Right? And I believe that. That's why I think you go like either Klatt or Herbie. Don't bring both of them in. Maybe every couple of years those guys cycle out, and then you bring somebody else in. Maybe every few years Saban goes out, Mac Brown or somebody else comes in, and they have these conversations where it's like
do 4 years.
You have all of these guys where you can cycle people in and out. They can leave and then they can return and say, "Hey, I was on the outside. I'm back in."
Going back
Now
to
I'm
reality and
going
also
back to it.
bringing in somebody newer every 4 years that maybe something has drastically changed in the game. And so there's a more fresh perspective.
I think all of I
Oh my God,
Saban's,
are we democratizing college football?
well, but
with
it's
term limits?
it's people that with people that make sense though. People that do make sense. And I think a guy is a scumbag and I do not like him. Urban Meyer would be a great person for this committee. He would be fantastic because we can say all we want about Urban Meyer's personal life, how he treats his players in Jacksonville, and kind of the way he leads his personal life. That dude won at Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, and Ohio State. He understands college football.
Yeah.
He understands what it takes to win.
But
And I mean, like, look, but that is the reality of the world of college football that we're in.
Might be a lot of dirtbags.
There's bodies and closets all over the place.
Or
in
bodies in the fields if you're Brian Kelly.
And so you bring some of these guys in and you say, all right, what's the fix? Because that is the problem, is that like you look, Urban Meyer is power hungry. But this is why you can't just have one person in charge. No. You need to have people like,
and it needs to be rotating out. It can't be a lifetime appointment, any of that crap.
And you got to have people with differing opinions that can put themselves in a room and have that conversation. That's why, like we have a text, Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326 that says, keep Chip Kelly as far away from this as possible. I think Chip Kelly is great for this because he is outside the box thinker. He is somebody that will listen to what other people have to say. We had the conversation with him at Pac-12 Media Day about just socializing college football, like make it socialism. Let's go there. Have that, and then you have an iron fist guy like Urban Meyer. You have an iron fist guy who actually adapted and adjusted in Nick Saban and softened up later in his career, where you can have these open conversations and have a guy like Andrew Luck coming over the top going, that ain't it, boys. Yeah. Like you can't see from the admin level, this doesn't work.
Won't fly.
You have guys from the media side of it that are well respected and very thoughtful and Klatt and Herbie,
talking to their TV business people like,
this
can't
is where
sell that.
Yeah. And then you can actually progress forward with how college football is sustainable. Yeah. Because I think one of the biggest things that college football has going against it right now is that it is us versus them.
Mhm.
It's us versus them on the field in individual teams. It is in that within conferences, as we saw with the Pac-12 disbanding, but it's also with that as the conferences as a whole not being able to agree on a damn thing.
Yeah, no, this is a survival of the fittest kind of stuff where and this is singular survival of the fittest. And nobody's looking out for anybody else right now because it's there. And to use another analogy, you're walking the line with no net underneath you. That's the thing is like so you're just fighting for whatever space you can get up there while everybody else is trying to balance at the same time. And if you can knock somebody off to make sure you got more room and more safety, that's what you're going to do.
David Shaw, he needs to be in that rotation pool too.
Ooh, that's a
David
good
Shaw
one.
needs to be in the rotation of coaches that
I would have gone
have a
Harbaugh if
conversation.
he was retired or he was coaching in college, but obviously he went to the NFL. Harbaugh would have been a guy, but Shaw's the one. When we sat down and talked to him at Media Day 2 years ago,
He's great.
he was perfect, reasoned, but knew well enough the realities that were coming their way. And even though he was like, I'm getting out, that shows wisdom and understanding of like,
Yeah.
this is about to be super chaotic and we have no grasp of this and I want no part of this.
Yeah.
And that understanding, I think, is a good thing.